Tyrese Maxey has taken his game to levels that many thought were not possible this season and is receiving recognition for his early work. The Sixers star has been the lifeblood of this team, setting the standard for the entire organization and delivering in an on-the-court and leadership standpoint. He was recently recognized for this impressive performance by the entire NBA, being named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week in the first of what could be many on the season for the Sixers star. So to dive into things directly here, that for his efforts this week, averaging 33.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 9.8 assists, and going 3-1 with their lone loss coming at the hands of the Boston Celtics there. But that is not far off from what he's been doing all season thus far. To lay those stats on the table as a whole, 42.5 minutes per game, 33.7 points, 9.0 assists, 4.8 rebounds, 1.2 steals, shooting 46.3% from the field and 46.4% from beyond the three-point arc there. The 25-year-old has absolutely stepped up and become the face of the franchise in every definition of how the Sixers could hope that was the case. And to talk about exactly what I mean here, is sure, it is one thing to be complimentary of the improvement on the rate that he's getting to the free throw line or his leap as a playmaker, the growth defensively. All these things are relevant. But what tells the Tyrese Maxey story to me is the way that he stood up there at the press conference during Sixers Media Day saying the quote, "I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to accomplish is that we need a standard. This is who we are no matter what. Every single day, no matter who plays, no matter who doesn't play, when you see the Philadelphia 76ers, this is what you see. You're going to see that team every single night, every single time you turn the TV on, every single time you step foot in whatever arena we're playing in. This is the team that you're going to get." The Sixers would not have that identity if it were not for Tyrese Maxey directly. And he is absolutely the ringleader from a production standpoint, but the entire team follows. This is not a situation that we've dealt with in the past decade of begging Joel Embiid to step up as a leader, of Ben Simmons refusing to take that responsibilities on his shoulder. James Harden, you knew the shortcomings that come with it. Tyrese Maxey wants every part of this, and that is why he's going to flourish into the potentially all-time great player that he's starting to shape up in front of us. Now, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself here, and there are a couple things that I do want to note with the Tyrese Maxey conversation. Now, for starters, I did just pull up the stats there, and I will pull them up again. A ton of conversation about the offense, and rightfully so. Shooting 46.4% from three on high volume, by the way, is incredibly impressive there. Also want to note the leap in playmaking, 9.0 assists per game. We are now at a stage where those are not just fluke assists there, and I do think that it happens in a slightly different way than a typical assist does happen. And obviously an assist is assist. You pass to the guy, they make a bucket, and it counts for the stat here. But I think a lot of times when people think of lead guards and playmakers, you think more of the James Harden type of style there. That it is. We're running a pick and roll. I'm hitting you on the bounce, and then you're laying it up. Or I'm throwing a lob up for you, and you're slamming it down. That's not exactly how Tyrese Maxey works, but I have been impressed with just the connectivity within the offense there, that he's willing to push the pace. He's willing to defer when the open shot is available for others, and the Sixers have proven capable of delivering on those opportunities with VJ Edgecombe right at the forefront of the conversation. But it has not just been the offense in which he has taken these leap forwards, and I do love that it is getting a bit of national attention at this point. To shout out to my guy Ben Pfeiffer, who's a terrific draft follow here, as he tweets out, Tyrese Maxey is defending his ass off this year, and that was most apparent against Boston, where he glued himself to guards all night and dispatched screens and pounced on loose handles and passes for turnovers, all while averaging 34, 9, and 5 and plus for true shooting there. Now, for Maxey specifically, this is something that I've been banging the table and proclaiming for quite some time now, that I thought last year was the moment where he took that leap defensively, that it is absolutely true that when he entered the NBA, he was not a good defender at that level. But what he proved is he was willing to work on it just like every other area of this game. And I'm a big believer that while, yes, there are factors to defense as far as knowing how to guard, the footwork that comes with it, a lot of it just boils down to how much do you care? How much do you want to compete on that side of the floor? How much are you willing to make life hard for the opponent? And Tyrese Maxey has subscribed to that theory, that he has dug in and bought in on that end of the floor at a rate that just simply was not the case for the first couple seasons of his career. That is infectious. That is something that other teammates follow, and it is certainly producing some of the best results for this Sixers team. Now, He's obviously earned quite a bit of praise nationally, but one conversation that I did want to pull up on with Nick Nurse was the talk about the duo with VJ Edgecombe. And I think this is going to be a particularly interesting conversation as the season now progresses, with Jared McCain returning to this roster. And the clearest message that I've proclaimed all year is the number one goal or number one storyline for the season is, what are the guard combinations that work? What is the best way to reach the peak of this Sixers team? Is it Maxey playing with Edgecombe? Is it Grimes and McCain? Is that the pairing that you do? Do you mix it up, try and play three at a time? I'm really intrigued by the concept of, could you play Maxey, McCain, and Grimes together? But all these are options that we have to see, that I want a sample size of what they actually look like. And of course, Nick Nurse has a better feel for seeing what goes on in practice and how all those function together. But that should be both the short and long-term goals for figuring out what this team is. In the short term, because this team is starting to get to the point where we will have expectations. We are just 6 games into the season. We're not going to put the cart before the horse here. But if this team is in the playoff picture, which I think all signs are pointing to, and I am believing some of this start to be pretty legitimate. I'm not going to say that they're going to go 5-1 over every 6-game stretch of the season, but I do think that this team is going to finish in the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. And in the long term, there are decisions to make. Quentin Grimes will be a free agent next year. Jared McCain eventually is going to need to get paid. VJ Edgecombe will eventually need to get paid. Tyrese Maxey, we know, has been paid by the organization and is locked up there. So how do you see this all playing out? Well, Nick Nurse has been asked about the concept of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey playing together, and the 2 quotes that I did want to pull up here was, for starters, quote, "I think there's a great combination there. I think they're similar in the fact that they both get pretty explosive. First steps to get by. Obviously, Tyrese is a great 3-point shooter. He has a few years on him, on VJ, but I think that's a good combination when they can both play on and off the ball." And to add one more quote to this here, as he says, "I think they have played extremely well together, and I think that relationship will continue to grow, and they'll learn a lot on how they can play off each other." It's very exciting. VJ's been obviously a nice surprise. Now, I've been saying this for about 5 years, how special Maxey is, even when I was coaching against him. And I do love that Nick Nurse is a believer in that regard, and he's absolutely right about it, that you could not ask for more to be put on display than what Tyrese Maxey is ultimately producing this year. And I do think that there is some weight to the VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey backcourt being a legitimate duo for the future here, that this is the foundation of the next generation and current generation of this Sixers team, that I think we are not too far away from making a case for this being the best backcourt in the NBA. And there are going to be some pretty spirited debates and pretty interesting conversations about that exact premise. Now, the only thing that I do ask about Tyrese Maxey, through no fault of his own, is I would like to see a bit less of him on the season. And what I mean by that exactly is he is currently leading the entire NBA in minutes played. And to give the full context of this, that Keith Smith tweets out here that Tyrese Maxey is averaging 42.5 minutes per game. Josh Hart led the NBA in minutes per game last year at 37.6. The last player to top 40 minutes per game over a season was Monte Ellis back in 2010-2011. The last player to average as many minutes as Maxey was Allen Iverson at 42.5 in the 2006-2007 season. And he also had 43.1 in 25-26. Shout out to AI, man. The dude who laced it up in a different way and brought itself on a night-to-night basis the way that really no players in this era can. And I'm not doubting Tyrese Maxey's ability. This has been a durable player. This is a guy with youthful legs, with a ton of energy, that wants to be out there as much as he possibly can. But what I do think is relevant and must be understood from Nick Nurse directly here is you got to make sure you got the guy when you need him most. That, yes, it's great. He can play 42.5 minutes per game, and I also will throw the asterisk next to here that there has been an overtime game. So a little bit more opportunity there. But you got to find the nights to scale that back. Even in that essentially blowout victory of the Brooklyn Nets, even though it wasn't really to the fourth quarter that it was a blowout, that he still clocked 40 minutes in that matchup. That kind of stuff cannot happen to me. That happened with him being pulled early. Now, the concept gets easier now with Jared McCain being reintroduced to this team. That is a clear solution to some of these lineup problems that are brought on when Tyrese Maxey is not on the floor. I love that he's getting every opportunity to run the show, be the guy, and is delivering on these chances. I just want it tucked a bit more in Nick Nurse's mind of, we got to play the long game here. This guy is a huge part of this Sixers team in the past, present, and future, and we need to keep that in mind. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey for absolutely delivering. Love that he's getting the shine from around the NBA in its entirety. Once again, the player of the week in the Eastern Conference for his 33.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 9.8 assists per game. Dude fills up the stat sheet at a rate that did not seem possible. He is not just a scorer. He is not just an energy guy. He's one of the best basketball players in the entire NBA. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey for continuing to revitalize this franchise, for being the face that it needs, the leader that it needs, and delivering for this team. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this video here, and got plenty more Sixers talk to break down on the channel. So the best way by keeping up is by smashing that subscribe button below, dropping a like on this video here, giving your thoughts in the comments, and I'll be right back with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.